Between 2020 and 2023, the Road Accident Fund, the fraud investigations led to the arrest of 44 people, and 28 of those people were convicted. These people include doctors, they include police officers, and they also include RAF employees. They even include lawyers. These people robbed vulnerable people who rely on RAF after going through a tragedy to help them pick up the pieces of their lives. What is very heartbreaking is that these people are professionals. Among these people is 44-year-old Jo-Anne Mmela. Jo-Anne is an attorney, a very respected one in Mpumalanga. The family of a little boy who was involved in a serious car accident trusted her to help them file a claim at RAF. RAF paid 1.8 million. The money was paid into Jo-Anne's trust fund account. She blew the money. The family did not get a cent. And then she ran away. She was arrested. And then she was granted bail. She ran away again. And then she was arrested again. Jo-Anne is being referred to as Miss Gucci Gang because after the community helped the police find her again, it was revealed that Jo-Anne robbed more of her clients. She robbed them of a total of 4.1 million rand in RAF money. This is her story.
So on the issue of direct claims, right? There's a lot of confusion pertaining to that. There's a colleague of mine who's since left the RAF who was on my team, and we like saying, so are we going direct or we going with lawyers? And the confusion came in 2019. The picture that I want to paint is as follows. When the new CEO came onto the scene, he indicated we needed to pull out anything pertaining to the promotion of direct claim.
Welcome back to True Crime Julia. On this channel, we look into true crime cases that have happened in South Africa. Today's case broke on 20 October 2022. This is when Jo-Anne was first arrested. It has been a long court case. The case has finally concluded last week. So we are working on a case that has been finalized in court. So let us get into this. For years, Mantladi Jo-Anne Mmela was known as a reliable attorney in Middelburg in Mpumalanga. She ran her own firm, Mmela Attorneys. The firm was later known as Mmela and Associates. She's also a mother of 2 young children. Her social media, even though she hardly ever posts, you can tell through the comment section that she was more on the social side of life. In one of her posts, she talks about traveling. She goes to Nigeria and she looks like someone who does not have many problems. She lives in a nice suburb, she owns her own law firm, and she is the sole employee of the firm. To ordinary South Africans, she was the person you would call during the darkest moment of your life. After a car crash, after an injury, after loss, that was her speciality, dealing with claims on behalf of clients. Her job was mostly to fight for compensation from the Road Accident Fund on behalf of victims and their families. And for a while, everything looked legitimate. Cases were filed, payments were processed, clients waited for the hope of financial relief. But behind the scenes, something else was happening. In June 2019, the first whispers of trouble began. One client waited for months for his payout. The client's son was involved in an accident. The dad then approached Jo-Anne to help with the claim. When someone is injured in a car accident in South Africa, the Road Accident Fund has one job, which is to protect the victim. The fund is supposed to pay for all medical treatments, from the ambulance ride to hospital bills, surgery, medication, therapy, and even future operations or long-term care. If a victim can't work because of their injury, the fund must cover their loss of income, both the earnings they already lost and the money they will make in the future. For serious injuries, RAF also pays for general damages. That's basically compensation for pain, for suffering, for trauma, disability, or losing the ability to live life the same way again. They also cover wheelchairs, they cover crutches, prosthetics, home modifications like ramps or special bathrooms, and even full-time caregivers if the victim needs help to function. In short, RAF money is meant to help rebuild a victim's life, not to make someone rich, and definitely not for lawyers to steal. When that money goes missing, the victims are left with nothing but pain. They're left with debt and permanent damage that nobody else will pay for. So the son was seriously injured and RAF awarded him 1.8 million rand. It was paid into Jo-Anne's trust fund. This is common practice with RAF claims. For payments to go through lawyers, it's very common. Apparently, it helps with securing that the money does get to the clients.
So on the issue of direct claims, right? There's a lot of confusion pertaining to that. There's a colleague of mine who's since left the RAF who was on my team, and we like saying, so are we going direct or we going with lawyers? And the confusion came in 2019. The picture that I want to paint is as follows. When the new CEO came onto the scene, he indicated we needed to pull out anything pertaining to the promotion of direct claim. That was one of the key drivers of the new transformative strategy of the RAF. At that point in time, I remember, it was in beginning January 2020, we had to pull every advertising that was already on the logs in all media. That costed RAF millions. Because all the media houses were like, okay, sure, RAF.
So after RAF paid the 1.8 million into Jo-Anne's trust fund account, she then transferred the money into another private account. The client then inquired, and then they were told that the money was paid to Jo-Anne. They then approached her, and then she said she paid the money to them. She also sent them a proof of payment for this, but nothing arrived. The excuses then began, the delays, the stories, until finally the client realized that they had been lied to. They then reported Jo-Anne, and what the investigators uncovered was far worse than anyone expected. Between 2019 and 2022, Jo-Anne had lodged multiple RAF claims on behalf of her clients. The Road Accident Fund paid the settlements, over 4.1 million rand in total. They paid directly into her trust account. From there, the money was supposed to go to the victims, but instead, Jo-Anne secretly redirected the funds into other bank accounts belonging to people completely unrelated to her clients. She created false references to make it appear as if the payments have been made. She assured families the money was coming. She lied to guardians of severely injured children. She convinced desperate parents that the payout was simply still processing. Her victims included at least 4 people. One of them is the child with the catastrophic injuries. By early 2022, investigators from the Mpumalanga Hawks Serious Commercial Crimes Unit took over. They traced the stolen money. They found falsified references. They confirmed that the payouts were redirected into unknown accounts. A warrant of arrest was issued, but Jo-Anne had already fled in Mpumalanga by the time. On 20 September 2022, the Hawks captured her in Pretoria. She was brought back to Middelburg and she appeared in court the next day. She was granted bail of 25,000 rand with one condition. She had to hand over her travel documents. But then she vanished again. On 5 December 2022, the day she was supposed to appear in court, Jo-Anne simply did not arrive. She had run away again. This time, authorities launched a public manhunt. Her face was circulated across news sites. Community members were asked to help locate her. For more than a year, she was in hiding, but she couldn't hide forever. In February 2024, after a tip-off from the members of the public, the Hawks traced her to a place in Hammanskraal in Pretoria. And this time, they took no chances. She was rearrested and bail was denied. And while she sat behind bars, more of her victims came forward. During the trial, Jo-Anne pleaded not guilty, but senior state advocate Henry Nxumalo presented ironclad evidence. They presented bank accounts, witness statements, forensic proof of redirected funds, and the pattern of fraud which was stretching for over years. The court found her guilty of 4 counts of theft, crimes calculated, deliberate, and devastating. Her actions had not only stolen money, but stolen dignity, health, and the chance of families to rebuild. The National Prosecuting Authority stated that this conviction was a significant victory. It was a victory in the fight against attorneys who still trust money. It was a warning to all legal professionals. It was meant to say if you exploit the vulnerable, you will be held accountable. On Thursday morning, 27 November 2025, in the Middelburg Serious Commercial Crimes Court, Jo-Anne Mmela finally had her fate. For stealing 3.3 million, including the money meant for an injured child, she was sentenced to 10 years direct imprisonment. No suspended sentence, no fines, no more running. The Hawks call the sentence a victory for justice, proof that no position of power can shield a criminal forever. Thank you so much for watching. What are your thoughts on this story? Please let me know in the comments. Do you know any lawyers who frauded anyone for RAF? Do you know anyone who was frauded for RAF by their lawyers? Please let me know. Let's talk. And please stay safe. I will see you on the next one.